Welcome back everyone to my channel. Thank you for tuning in to another video from my kitchen. Tonight I'll be sharing with you my favorite homemade sourdough bread. Let's start baking. You will need the following ingredients: all-purpose flour or plain flour, instant dried yeast, salt, and warm water. We will start with measuring 6 cups of our plain flour, but all the ingredients will be in the front of the video or in the description area. Three, 4, 5, 6. We are going to go ahead and add our yeast. Okay, give it a good stir. This is very easy, and I'm sure you can see a lot of recipes online as well. Make sure that your yeast is thoroughly mixed into the flour, and then we will go ahead and add our salt. So we only have all-purpose flour or plain flour, yeast, salt, and warm water from the tap. So 1 teaspoon of salt, and 2. Okay, give it a good mix as well. I can also give you a shortcut to remember the measurements for this flour bread. Instead of you looking at your recipe book or looking up the video, there's a shortcut to remember everything. Okay, let me finish first and then I'll tell you in a minute. Okay, it's time for us to add our warm water from the tap. 1, 2, 3, 1/2. Now we will go ahead and mix. With this bread, you don't need to do any mixing by hand until it's time for you to prepare the bread to put it in the oven. But in the beginning, you don't do too much kneading or mixing with your hands like the normal bread. I guess this is sourdough method. You just mix everything, make sure all the dry flour are mixing and all the ingredients mix well. Make sure you don't see any dry flour. So you gotta mix everything well to combine. Okay. There's still dry flour in the bottom of the bowl, so keep mixing. All right, that is it. That's all you need to do. Okay, the next step is to let it sit in a warm place. But let me do something first, and then I'll tell you how long we're gonna let it rise for. Okay, so we've mixed our flour, warm water and yeast and salt, the main ingredients. Okay, I am going to get some cling wrap. I will spray it with oil spray, and then I'll turn it over and cover the top with. Okay, so when our flour rises, it doesn't stick to the top. So do that instead of covering with a tea towel first. Just do that method first and then go ahead and use your tea towels to cover the top. Now, this will sit. If you watch a lot of sourdough videos on YouTube and online, it sits for a maximum of 18 hours. With my one, I'm happy with the 4 to 5 hours, 3 if you want to do it quicker. So 3, 4, 5 hours is totally up to you, or even more. Okay, but I've always done it between 4 to 5 hours. I sort of like the texture, and I don't like it too sour. So, but if you want to make it sour a little bit, leave it for more than 5 hours, and then you'll get that sourdough taste. Okay, so we will cover our bowl, and then we will put it in a warm place and let it rise for 4 to 5 hours. Now, while that's sitting on the bench for a few hours, let me explain a few things. Okay, the easiest way I remember the recipe and the ingredients for me to use is I call this bread 3.522. That's my number. So I can call it Milz favorite 3.522 bread. Maybe that's too hard, but I remember it using that 3.522. Now 6 represents 6 plain cups of flour, all-purpose flour. 3.5 represents warm water, cups of warm water. So 3.5, 3.5 cups of warm water. And then the double 2 in the end is 2 teaspoons of salt and 2 teaspoons of yeast. Okay, 3.5 double 2. 6 cups of plain flour, 3.5 cups of warm water from the tap, 2 teaspoons of yeast, and 2 teaspoons of salt. Make sense? I hope it does. So that's my favorite bread, or sourdough bread, is 3.522. Okay, now I have one dough that I prepared earlier on. So this is, and it's been sitting on my warm table for about 5 hours. Now, see how I spray the top of the cling wrap? It comes off easily, just like that. With this dough, it will give you really nice, good size bread. 2 loaf of bread. So I will dust my bench with a good amount of flour. By the way, let me share with you something. I am using a vegan instant dried yeast from my local supermarket, and this is the brand I'm using. So it's Mackenzie's instant dried yeast, and it's a vegan type. It's really good. Like I can't tell the difference with the normal yeast, but you know, the difference I've picked up with this type to the normal one that I normally use is that the flour or the dough, it rises very quickly compared to my normal yeast. So I don't know, but this is what I'm using so far. Okay, and now transfer your dough. It's very wet. Sprinkle some flour on top. Before we continue on, this is what I'll use to bake my bread loaf. I've got this cookie sheet. I brought this from Costco. So what I'll do, I will butter it with margarine or soft butter. And then I'll sprinkle some flour on top. Okay, give it a good shake. Okay, and then just tap it to get rid of the excess flour. Okay, so that's our pan ready for us to put our bread loaf on it. Okay, I will put it here for now, and I will go ahead and divide our dough into two. Yep, I'm sure that's even. Okay, let's put this aside for now, and we will start with this one. Okay. Okay, so right now we will do some folding. Okay, and you're gonna push in with the tip of your fingers the edges so it stick into the flour. So now we will turn sideways. Okay, and we will roll it and make sure it's tight. Okay, and as you're rolling, you try and fix the edges too. Okay, and then you push it in with the tip of your fingers. Okay, and then keep rolling. Okay, keep rolling. All right. That is it. Now we are going to transfer that onto our pan, just like that. And make sure it's even on both sides, and just like that. All right. Now we will do the same with the rest of the dough. Okay, roll it in. Okay, push it in with the tip of your fingers. And at the same time, fix the edges. Okay, now you will try and pinch in the edges so it closes and have a nice smooth close to the end of the bread. So when it cooks, you don't have an open bread, if you know what I mean. It will eventually, but you will try and do the best that you can to make sure it looks like that. to close off the edges of the dough. Okay, and then you turn it over and make sure you roll it on more flour. And then transfer it onto your prepared baking dish. You could do this in a bread loaf tin. I like it this way. I like to make it this way. I like to have a long size or long loaf. I will show you in a minute what it looks like when it comes out of the oven. Now this is done, and what I've got here is this is baking paper that I've folded, and this will be my divider to divide the two loaves here. Okay, what I do is I just gently or slightly butter it with, margarine or butter, and then do the same. Sprinkle with some flour. And then you are going to put that in between the two loaves. So this will act as my divider. And as the bread rises, or the loaf, as it rises to the top, this will become the divider to separate the two loaves. I will go ahead, I'll put this aside for now, go ahead and cut the top. Just cut a few lines on top. And then I'll put this back again. Okay, so there's our loaf. We will let this sit for 30 to 40 minutes on the side. And while we'll do that, we will preheat our oven at 170 degrees Celsius. So yes, preheat the oven at 170 degrees Celsius. I think it's about 375 to 380, between 375, 380, or for our other friends around the world. Yeah, do the conversions if you don't mind, please. But for my oven, I am baking this at 170 degrees Celsius. Okay, so let it sit for a few minutes, 30 minutes, and then we'll come back. Okay, families and friends, our loaf has been sitting on the warm table for about 30 minutes. If you can see, the two loaves are rising again. Okay, you can tell with the top when I cut it, it didn't have the holes open quite wide, just like that. So you can tell it's been rising as well. I'm going to go ahead with my water spray, and I will spray the top of our loaf. Okay, just a few sprays. Okay, my oven is already preheated. Now I am also going to use, I've got hot water here, add it to my mini pie tins here. This will be our hot bath, if you know what I mean. So this will be in the oven, but I'll show you. Let me put this in the oven first. And now I will put this in the oven. So this is our warm water. Okay, Put it in the oven as well. Okay. Close it. Not sure if you can see from there. So our loaves are now baking for 30 minutes, 30 to 35. Play around with your oven. This is the conventional oven I'm using, and that's how long I've made these breads for how many times for a lot of people. So this is the way I bake, 30 minutes at 170 degrees Celsius, using a hot bath too. So that water will steam in the oven, and it will make our bread not too hard, but it will soften our bread as well when it cooks. I hope that makes sense. Yeah, so I will see you in half an hour. So that will be baking in there. Actually, I forgot to mention as well, I am baking the breads in 170 degrees Celsius fan force. So I'm using fan force to bake the loaves. While that is baking, let me show you the loaves I baked before. So this is the ones I baked before. See? And my family went ahead and helped themselves to the other loaf, but that's what it will look like. I will also show you a short video when that is cooked, but this is what it looks like when it came out. Now I'm going to try and cut one. So see, it's a good amount of loaf, good size. Okay, this is the side that had the divider in the middle. You can always separate them and then leave it in the oven for a few more minutes, and it will brown the other side as well. You know, just like the other side. Okay, but let me cut. It smells amazing, guys. It's really nice. See? So this is nice and cool now, but when it came out of the oven, oh man, it was so nice and crunchy. So that's the inside of our bread. Okay, if you can see, super soft in the middle, and this can stay softer too. For my bread, I've had it soft for about a day or two. Okay, really nice with butter, jam, and Milo. If you want to, warm it up, just chuck it in the microwave for a few seconds, and it will be just like as it came out of the oven. Okay, so that is our easy loaf of bread, homemade. Costs less than what you will spend to get the sourdough bread from the shop. You can make it nice and fresh for your family. Yeah, so give it a try. Okay, so families and friends, as I promised earlier, I will show you our bread. So this is what it looks like. Okay, it just came out of the oven, and it's quite hard on top. So when you cut through this, it's really nice and crunchy, but you need to rest it for a few minutes before you cut into the bread. So see how nice and, sorry, it's a little bit hot. See how nice and hard it is, brown. You're most welcome to butter the top, but this is sourdough bread. This is sourdough bread. Just leave it as this. Up to you. You can enjoy it while it's hot, or you can leave it for a few minutes to make it softer. So I hope you enjoy making the 6 3.5 22 bread with Milz. let me give a taste test. Have a bite, friends and families. Okay, here we are. The nice peanut butter and bread, peanut butter, jam, and butter. Sometimes you can use the same dough and make the mini loaves with it. It works better too. I teach a morning class for church, so I teach a youth class, and I always make this for my youth class. So I make it once a week. I try and make it once a week, and my class, they love it, especially when it just came out of the oven, and the crust is nice and crunchy too. But even if you cool it down, it's nice and super soft. It stays soft till, you know, the next day or so. So it stays fresh for, I would say, 2 days and a bit. Or you can put it in the fridge, warm it up in the microwave, still gives you a nice fresh bread. So thank you again for baking with Milz. Just a reminder that I have my membership program that I introduced a few weeks back. If you join and become a member, you'll get the perks that is included in there. Thank you to our current members for your love and support. Hope you enjoy the perks that you're receiving. And you're most welcome to cancel them if you don't like, but you paying that membership and receiving the free perks from becoming a member will help me to create more videos and create more contents for the channel and for you in the future. Thank you again, and take care everyone, and I hope you have a wonderful week ahead. Stay safe, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye for now.